Good day and welcome to one and all. Wherever you call home, whatever the time zone, we would like to thank you for joining us in the virtual launch of the book Rolls Back, Working for Repeat Business. I am Macauville Combi and I will be your master of ceremony for today's proceedings. The virtual launch will comprise two segments, a pre-recorded and a live segment in which we shall do some book giveaways. This is it. Rolls Back, Working for Repeat Business by Betty Combi. 100 pages, short, easy to read, easily understood self-help book. An everyday guide to doing work well and satisfying the recipient customer. Rolls Back highlights that to satisfy the customer recipient, there should be a change in work habits. Changes in work habits or any change should address the impact on the individual, the what is in it for me consideration. Rolls Back seeks first to touch our hearts and then show the applicability of these same concepts in the workplace. Anyway, I'm getting ahead of myself. During this launch, we'll be hearing from a diverse group of individuals who have read Rolls Back and will share with us their thoughts on the book. And most importantly, we will be hearing from the author, Betty Combi. However, just before we get to this, we want to acknowledge our sponsors. Without their sponsorship, this virtual launch would not have been possible. Ladies and gentlemen, our sponsors. Moz Inc., Acceler Marketing, Foster's Barristers at Law, Lucilec, St. Lucia Development Bank, Calabash TV, Caribbean Business Report. Once again, thank you sponsors for your support. Part of the book's title is the phrase working for repeat business. Rolls Back addresses workplace issues which impacts productivity, competitiveness, and sustainability. We will now hear from persons who employ and manage persons in the workplace as to their thoughts on Rolls Back. First off, we will hear from Mr. Evaristus Jamari, Managing Director of Jamari & Sons, and Chairman of Bank of St. Lucia and Chairman of the National Insurance Corporation.
Most people go into business with the attitude of trying to make money, and that's the sole motive, to make money. What I like about what was in the book is the emphasis on providing a service meeting the demands of an end user. And the truth is, successful businesses only become successful if all the activity is designed to meet in some need or solving some solution in society. The importance of that book for employers is to reset and think, look, what need am I trying to provide in this community, in the society, to satisfy an end user? And how well can I do it? And I think the mnemonic of the book deals with all those elements about what do you need to do to be able to provide consistent good service or to provide a consistent good product to meet some need. There's a lot of elements of project management within the book as well. When she speaks about the SMART objectives, managing risks, speaking about end users, the activities you're involved with, being consistent, understanding what really people need. These are the things, that distinguishes good companies from poor companies. And stop trying to be all things to all men. And organizations which try to do that are very much organizations that don't have purpose. Or purpose that's misplaced. And very much the misplaced purpose is you just want to make money. But if you want to make money, you'll find yourself doing a lot of different things because everybody somehow believes the latest thing might be the thing to make money, and you jump in it. And you don't have, like she rightly said, you need to have the resources to do those things. And when you come in, without purpose and focus, you can't beat people who have purpose and focus, because all the energies and all the resources are there trying to do something very good. And while you're just, doing things in a very mediocre way, you can't win. You can't win in that environment. If you want a good manual, that's a quick reference book of things you should pay attention to if you want to have a quality product or quality service, I think the book will serve you well. And beyond that, it also serves, I think, and she does that very well, Betty, in everyday life. I mean, because at the end of the day, all human activity is really towards satisfying the needs of some other human being. And so it has very wide application. It goes beyond just business, but everyday life. And that's how people are able to enjoy life, be happy, because somebody's serving some need that they have.
Thank you, Mr. Jamari. We will now hear from Mr. Gerard Begas, Regional Manager of Tropical Shipping and Board Member of Republic Bank, EC, who will share his thoughts on Roads Back.
I wasn't 100% sure what angle Betty was coming at with this book, so I approached it with a very open mind. And I think what impressed me was the fact that the book lays out a methodology, a framework for how people can have a more considered approach to their interpersonal relationships, especially with respect to communication. If you have an employee that is, for want of a better term, flying by the seat of their pants with respect to delivering service and communication with prospective customers, or even in their personal relationships, that relationship is going to suffer. One of the statements I tend to make a lot is that when you're in the service business, and this book talks to customer service people, so whether they are selling a product or a service, they are still delivering service to the prospective customer. And when you consider that relationship, the computers and machinery and stock in a warehouse do not deliver service. It is the people that deliver service. And when you have people who are comfortable and engaged with the process of delivering service, then you will end up with more productive relationships, and I think it will redound to better business. Anybody that reads this book, there are going to be certain parts of it that will resonate for them. So if you are reading this book, I can't imagine that you're going to sit down there with a checklist and go, okay, R, O, L, L, S. But once it becomes part of your way of thinking and your way of doing things, those aspects that you recognize in yourself that maybe you might not be so good at, it at least gives you a way of strengthening those areas. For me as a St. Lucian, I think the fact that it's locally written was a draw for me. And the examples in the book are drawn from personal experience, Betty's personal experience. And I think these things will have a certain cultural resonance in St. Lucia. People will be able to identify with some of the examples she gives. So it brings it home to the reader.
Thank you, Mr. Begas. Our next contribution comes from someone whose focus is the employee. She is Ms. Goretti Paul, Managing Director of HR Wise, a human resource management firm. Ms. Paul is also a member of the National Mediation Committee and a member of the National Accreditation Council.
I think, first of all, Betty has an amazing job in simplifying the concept of quality management, and that is something that I'm very, very focused on. My focus is always on ensuring that we create value. So it's not just about doing something or carrying out a task for the sake of doing it, but to ensure that we provide value to whether it's our customer or our employer. Employees who want to elevate themselves and do better and be better at their jobs would definitely need to get this book, because it allows them the opportunity to apply some very simple principles to get some significant impact. So quality control, the level of productivity, I think the process also allows more clarity in terms of what are the expectations of the individuals in their roles. I think this book has been so simply written that it really does not matter what level you are. It doesn't matter what educational background you have. It doesn't matter the industry, the sector, the job. The principles are easy to apply. They're very straightforward. But like I said before, the impact is significant by just these simple applications. So I think individuals, from looking at the book, I mean, even from just the size, first of all, it's manageable. Opening it, the print, you can clearly see that it's an easy read. So it's not this tiny print that makes you feel like you have to read for days. I have been so impressed with the quality. It is so simple, and I found myself smiling throughout the reading. It's just a comfortable read. And the fact that Betty has incorporated not just workplace examples, but examples from home, I think make it even more manageable, more applicable for all persons, no matter what level they are. Well, I can tell you from an HR perspective, I would highly recommend that employers encourage their employees to get this book. Get copies, put it in a public area, allow your staff to have access to it, or buy them a gift. Buy them a gift of the book, a gift of learning. And I think more companies need to do that. Be ready to invest in the learning and development of your team members.
Thank you, Ms. Paul. Thus far, we have heard the thoughts of others about Roseback. We will now hear from the author herself. But before we do, some background information on Betty Comby. Betty Comby is Managing Director and owner of Moz Inc., a company offering services related to quality management. She's a Vice Chair of the St. Lucia Bureau of Standards Technical Committee for Management Services, a member of the ISO Technical Committee 176, Task Group 4, Future Concepts in Quality Management, a member of the Association of Management Consultants of St. Lucia, a member of the Good Practice Movement Group supported by the St. Lucia Bureau of Standards. Betty Comby is very passionate about people empowerment, a passion which was developed from her years as a teacher at the Leon Hess Comprehensive Secondary School, raising two sons, Omar and Zabias, and dealing with her husband, McCorville. Yes, full disclosure, that is me. Ladies and gentlemen, author of Rollsback, working for repeat business, Ms. Betty Comby, my wife.
Hello everyone. Thank you for joining us as we do this virtual launch of Roseback, Working for Repeat Business. I am Betty Comby, the author of the book. The most frequent question I get from persons who have not read the book is, what is Roseback? So let's start with that. So Roseback, simply put, is an everyday guide to doing work well and satisfying the customer or the recipient. So who is the recipient? Well, in the workplace, the recipient is the customer, your co-worker, your supervisor, your supervisee, the manager. But on a more personal level, the recipient is your child, your significant other, your parents, your neighbor. So this everyday guide is based on a body of knowledge known as quality management. Actually, globally, quality management is known as business common sense. The book was an attempt to simplify this body of knowledge, which I have found so useful. I am using Rollsback in my business. I am using Rollsback in the relationship with my husband. I'm using Roseback in the relationship with my children. So the book is entitled Roseback, Working for Repeat Business. Before I delve into Roseback a little more, we need to talk about that repeat business phrase. You know, years ago when I worked with the St. Lucia Bureau of Standards, I was invited to make a presentation to a group of Federate farmers. And while making this presentation, I said to them, listen, I don't know much about farming, but let's look at an activity that we can all relate to. So I gave them the option of preparing a meal or love making. Mostly male farmers, they chose love making. I said, fine. So let's begin with the end in mind. So what end in mind do you have for this love making? And I'll never forget this. It was a woman farmer who said, repeat business. She was on target. Because sometimes we think we satisfy, but the person doesn't come back. But if they're coming back, if they're giving us this repeat business, then we are guaranteed, we are assured that we satisfy them. So now let's get into more specifics with regard to Roseback. So let's start off with the first R. The first R stands for recipients, needs, and expectations. You know, in crafting this tool, it was very important to me that the first letter stressed the needs and expectations of the recipient. Because I think that's where we're going wrong most of the times, is that we're doing work and we're doing it well, but then we are failing to take into consideration the recipient's perspective. So it was very important to me that that first letter addressed the recipient's needs and expectations. And so let's talk about needs and expectations. And in my book, I talk about the bottled water example. So for instance, you go to a vendor and you ask for a bottle of water. You have stated your need. You need a bottle of water. But she gives you a bottle of water, or he gives you a bottle of water which doesn't have a label. You would have a problem with that. It was an expectation that if she's selling a bottle of water, that it will have a label. And so that is the thing about expectations. We never state it. You don't go and say, can I have a bottle of water with a label? But it's expected. And so if we're about satisfying the recipient, we have to ensure that we understand not just the need, but also those expectations that are usually unstated. So we're moving on now to the next letter in Roseback. That's the O. O stands for objectives. You know, one of the things I stress in the book is that for many of us, we set objectives that are just output based. So our objectives are related to what it is we plan to do, what it is we plan to get. But we're not setting enough objectives that are outcome based, which is related to what is the recipient receiving. So I stress SMART objectives. Remember, specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-bound. However, keep in mind, the objectives have to be related both to what you are delivering as well as what the customer is receiving. The first L in Roseback stands for laws. That's a caveat to quality management. Yes, I will aim to meet your needs and expectations, but within the confines of the law. You shouldn't have to break the law to satisfy the recipient. And so, as a worker, know the law pertaining to the work you're doing. Very important. And don't let somebody tell you the law. You read it for yourself. Because you know the saying, ignorance of the law is no excuse. We now move to the second L in Roseback. That L is a personal favorite. Lessons learned. You know, this is the value of making a mistake. The value of making a mistake is the lesson learned from the mistake. You know, it was Einstein who said the only mistake made in life is the lesson not learned. You know, at this point, I need to share with you a story that appears in the book. You know, I was at a social event and I'm chatting with this gentleman who is not a St. Lucian, but he travels to St. Lucia frequently. And so he says to me, his first wife one day out of the blue said, "You do nothing for me." And he said to me also, imagine this was a woman who had full access to my bank account. And so I'm thinking, interesting. And so I asked, why would she say that? And he said, I don't know. Imagine I was ironing a dress for her to go out when she said that to me. I am even more curious now. I mean, I'm trying to figure out what could this person want that they're making a blanket statement that he did nothing for her. And so I kept at him. What does she want? You'll have to read the book to find out what she wanted. Let's move on. S stands for standards. Standards is that thing that prevents you from starting from scratch. It is that thing that prevents you from reinventing the wheel. Anything you're doing out there, more than likely, there is an authoritative document providing guidance. Reference it first. Too many of us are starting from scratch. Too many of us are reinventing the wheel. And so the rolls back stresses the importance of referencing standards in whatever we're doing. B stands for background. This is about doing the research in advance. So we're talking about researching the who, researching the whom, researching the what. But it's very important that if what you're aiming to do is do it right and do the right thing, that you understand the history or the background related to it. And so now we come to the second vowel in Rosebuck, and that is the A for activities. You know, this is the longest chapter in the book, simply because all work we do is about activities. And activities apply in the workplace and it applies in the home. And in the book, I talk about the whole idea of operational work and projects. Think about it. Operational work is repetitive, ongoing work. So in the home, operational work is you cooking, you cleaning, you gardening, you love making. But sometimes you might have a party for your child. That's a project. It has a set date and an end time, and you get this unique result. Same thing in the workplace. A lot of us are involved in operational work, ongoing, repetitive work, but some of us also involved in project work. Project work, operational work, it's all about activities. Something else needs to be said about activities. It's applicable to every activity is PDCA. Plan, do, check, and act. You know what they say? If you fail to plan, you plan to fail. Do, implement or execute the plan. Check. Very important one that we tend to miss, check. And there are a number of things that you have to check as a worker. So check your inputs, check your activities, check your output, but also check the outcome. The outcome is determining whether or not the customer or the recipient is satisfied. And then the A is about acting to improve. It's a journey of improvement. Remember that. Success is always a journey, never a destination. We now get to the triple R in Rosebuck. Remember the first R? It represented the recipient's needs and expectations. Well, now we're in the bark with those three R's. And the first R represents risk. Risk is about being proactive, looking ahead, anticipating what could go wrong. It's what we call our contingency plan, our plan A, our plan B, our plan C, right? This is about being proactive rather than always reactive. You know, I tell the story in the book about making a presentation to a group of students at Leon S. And we were looking at successfully completing secondary school. And so when we were looking at the threats aspect of a SWOT analysis, which is another tool I mentioned in the book, one of the students said to me, a threat to him completing secondary school is a group well. Now, some of you might know what group well is. For those of you who don't know what group well is, you need to go buy the book. So now we go on to the second R in that triple R, resources. We will never have enough resources. Let's accept that. But the few resources we have, let's be strategic. Let's target it. And I say target it along the customer's journey. You know, I like to give the example that when a guest is coming to my house, I want to give them a pleasant, hygienic experience, you know. So I don't even like cleaning, but my house has to be clean. And so usually I clean on a weekend, but they might decide to come in on a Wednesday. At that point, I know the house is already dirty, but I don't have enough time to clean the whole house. And so where do I start off? I say, what will be their journey? And so I clean along their journey, and I think to myself, they might ask to use the bathroom. Okay, let's make sure that's clean. I close my boys' bedrooms, and I leave my bedroom open. Give a perception that the whole house is clean with few resources as possible. So let's use our resources effectively, and let's use them efficiently by focusing on the customer's journey. And so we now get into the third R of that triple R, responsibility. We must keep in mind that it is our responsibility to do work well and to satisfy the recipient, to satisfy the customer. This is what's going to lead to our success. If we keep satisfying the recipient, satisfying the customer, then more customers, more recipients are going to be coming in and staying with us. Hence the term repeat business. And so when we're talking about responsibility, you must understand your triple role as a worker. As a worker, you have three roles. You have the role of the processor or the worker you brought into the work. You have the role of the supplier. You are delivering something. We call it the deliverable. But also, you are receiving materials and information to do your work. That makes you a customer. So recognize that triple role: processor or worker, supplier, as well as customer. And it's very important that you note that for you to succeed, everybody has to be winning related to that triple role. So the person who is supplying you with stuff, they have to feel value. The person you're giving stuff to, they have to feel value, as well as that you have to feel value. So we need to think win, win, win whenever we're serving our customers or the recipient. And the last letter rolls back, that's C. I mean, probably even without saying what C means, you probably know what C is, right? It is that lifeblood of any relationship, that lifeblood of any organization. It is communication. Very important, without a doubt. And why do we communicate in an organization? You communicate to provide guidance. You communicate to ensure continuity. You communicate to ensure consistency. There are reasons why we should communicate if what we're trying to do is do it well and satisfy the recipient. The final chapter in the book is entitled Your Deliverable Experience. So we covered no rolls back, and then we proceeded to say what you needed to do to deliver that experience that would encourage repeat business. And in that chapter, we shared the story of Helen. I met Helen at one of my training sessions. Helen worked with one of the government organizations, and she was a cleaner. And so when I posed the question, what is it that allows you to survive fierce competition? Most students said, keep the customer satisfied. And I agreed. That's important, right? But you know, there are always those suppliers with more resources than you, and they can come and take, and you know customers, they're fickle, they move easily. And so Helen said to me, Miss, let me tell you something. She said, every Saturday, I am up from 2 o'clock to go down to the market to sell my parsley. Miss, my parsley is organically grown. My parsley tastes different, it looks different, it smells different. Everybody who buys my parsley says that. She says, you see, Miss, by you see, sunrise, all my parsley gone. So, Miss, to survive fierce competition, you must be different. And isn't that nice? This is the beauty of an experience that nobody else can give that experience but you. So go ahead, give an experience that keeps people coming back and new people coming in. So this is it. Rolls back, working for repeat business, discussed in a nutshell. You know, people have described it as an excellent resource. And I like that because it is intended to be this. It is intended to be something you read once And then you pick up over and over again because there's just so many tools that are applicable, and applicable not just in the workplace, but also in the home. So at this point, I want to say again, thank you for joining us. I am wishing each of you continued repeat business. But remember, to ensure that, you need to purchase Rollsback Working for Repeat Business. Before I end, I would like to say a special thank you. First of all, to my husband and my 2 boys. In the book, I basically allowed you to come into my home. And they allowed that to happen. To my students, to my trainees, to my clients who provided the feedback, who provided the encouragement, I can't say thank you enough. And finally, to all these persons who were involved in me getting this book to the market. Not to mention now the sponsors who have come on board for the launch. But to have gotten all of that involvement, I think it's testimony of the value of this product. So to all of you, I say thank you.
The author has spoken, and there is not much more I can add, just to say that I'm proud as hell. Anyway, let's move on. Throughout the launch, we have sought to demonstrate that in Rollsback, there is useful information for everyone: employer, employee, and individual. We will now hear from 2 other individuals sharing their personal experience reading Rollsback and its contribution to the growth of the individual. Mr. Anthony Busquet is General Manager of Glass Supermarket and Bakery. He is also President of the Bakers Association and Chairman of the St. Mary's College Board.
I particularly enjoyed the fact that throughout, the author was looking at, not just those of high education, but also what someone, who's a cleaner, what can they offer? And the exhortation throughout the book that everyone should seek, quality, everyone should seek excellence. And I don't think it's a reach to compare what is put forward in the book with a speech that was made by Martin Luther King many moons ago, actually a few months before his assassination. I think he spoke at Barat Junior High School. And he was telling everyone that they should seek excellence. He said, no matter if you're a cleaner, just know that you should be the best cleaner that you can be, and to clean or to sweep in a manner similar to how Michelangelo paints his paintings. So in other words, he's calling people to excellence, similar to what is outlined in Rollsback. And I just like when people try to bring across the fact that excellence is for everyone. Quality is for everyone, and not just for people of a certain educational standard. In this book, you have the tools and recommendations for you to go through a process of continuous improvement. It's not like, hey, we have achieved and we can relax. No, I think the message of the book is one of continuous improvement, and it's provided and it's put forward in a manner which is, it makes an easy read. It's readily understandable. It's not complex by any means. And in that book, a number of different theories and ideas are just summarized and gives you an opportunity, to follow a certain framework to achieve excellence.
Thank you, Mr. Busquet. We will now hear from our very well-known media personality, Ms. Herma Dimak. Ms. Dimak is presently employed with the Government Information Service. She is also a creative entrepreneur designing clothing and jewelry.
Rollsback actually was, it was a book that was recommended to me by my cousin. She kept on talking about Betty, Betty, Betty. I kept on hearing Betty, 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 and Betty is so awesome. And when it comes to quality, Betty. So when she got her copy of Rollsback, I asked to read it. And after reading it, I felt like, okay, I need my own copy. This is a book that you reread, you go back to, you reference. Prior to reading Rollsback, when I heard quality management, it always sounded to me like something that was just very intimidating. When I heard of standards, I thought of the technical terms that comes with standards. But reading Rolls back, it made me realize that quality management is a part of our daily lives. Whether or not you're aware of it, you partaking in processes every single day that is quality management. And it can be applied to every single aspect of your life, whether you are a student in school, whether you're in media, whether you're an entrepreneur. It's everywhere. In the book, she explains standards, and that for everything, there's a standard. There's a way to do it. And simply standards it's the outline, how you could do it in the best possible way, doing it efficiently and effectively. And at the time, she made a reference to sewing and using an iron. And for me, I have to tell you, in the sewing process, ironing is the part that I despise the most. I don't like it. And so when she said that, I was like, aha. So that means media has a standard. And now what I'm doing is every new thing that I am taking on, I'm like, I wonder what the standard is for that. And so that has to be my favorite part of the book, the lesson that I've learned, my favorite lesson so far that I've learned. Also for parents, this book can be something that they could use to guide their children through school. Because sometimes I've found, just looking at my nephews, my nieces, that you want to assist them with something, but you don't know exactly how to go about doing that. And I felt like Rolls Back could be a manual also for parents to be able to, guide their children. I think it's a book that everybody should read, not once, not twice. It's a book that, yes, borrow the copy, but then get your own, because it can be applied to just every aspect of your life.
Thank you, Ms. Dimac. And so we come to the end of this segment of the launch of Rolls Back, Working for Repeat Business. We ask you to stay tuned for the live segment of the book giveaways. But before we move, I would like to once again thank our sponsors: Moores Inc., Accela Marketing, Foster's Barristers at Law, Lucilec, St. Lucia Development Bank, Calabash TV, Caribbean Business Report. We'd like to thank the contributors who shared their thoughts on Rolls Back, Working for Repeat Business. And most importantly, we would like to thank you for joining us at this virtual book launch. The ball is now in your court. Purchase your copy of Rolls Back, Working for Repeat Business. You will not be disappointed.
I want to start off by thanking Joy Quinlan, Omar Combi, and my husband, my very own husband, Macaulay Combi, for handling the first segment. And I am here now to give away books. Let's give away books. So we have 5 books to give away, but you know me, I never give away without a competition. So we must have a bit of excitement related to the competition. And Joy is there to assist me, Omar is there to assist me with that competition. But as always, with any competition, we need some ground rules. So 1, pay attention now, pay attention. Ground rules 1, you type the correctly spelled words in the chat. It must be typed into everyone in the chat and not privately. Be careful. If you want that book, everybody has to see your answer. You cannot type it privately to me or to Omar, to Joy. Make sure we're all seeing it. 2, the first person who types the correct answer wins the book. It's as simple as that. So it's a fill in the blank item. Item 1, Joy is going to type item 1 to show you prepare for item 1. When item 1 comes up, if you know the answer, you type it in the chat, but type it correctly. Because if it's incorrect, we have to go on to the next person looking for it spelled correctly. 3, winners in St. Lucia will receive hard copies. However, sorry, winners outside of St. Lucia, we will send you e-copies. So we'll organize with Amazon to get your e-copy to you. And also only one book can be won per person. So if you have already won, you can put the answer in, but understand we'd like to give other people books as well. Let me also say thank you so much for all the congratulatory messages that are coming through. I am proud of me too. For all the people proud of me, I am proud. Blowing my own trumpet there, but I am proud of me. It was something I had to do. It was something that had to be done, and I was happy I was able to do it. Okay. Any other comments, Joy, with regard to our competition? Or are we ready to go?
I think we are ready. I think some people are already putting things.
Hey, they cannot do that.
No, not like that. Not like that. I think it's just in jest. It's quite funny. I think
okay. So Joy,
remember Joy first. Competitive.
So Joy first has to put the item number in the chat, and then Omar then brings up the item. So this is the process. Steps in the process. Joy types item 1 in the chat. Omar then brings up item 1. The question, the actual item on the slide, you'll see it, and then you start typing your answers. The first one, now remember, there might be a lag when you type and when we see it. So keep that in mind. So follow the chats, please. And we want to be fair. If you felt that we were unfair to you, you let us know. Okay, so Joy, I think we can get into it. You want to type
right.
Item 1 in the chat?
Item 1 is, yes.
Item 1, and Omar is going to bring up the first item. And it says, your customer, co-worker, manager, child, parent, or loved one is a R of your service. Joy, and
there's an answer, but so it's not. There we go. Asha James. That was spelled correctly.
Oh,
Asha
there you
James.
go. It had to be spelled correctly.
Yes.
Those people who are so competitive.
Yes, we know them well, Betsy.
That's
Asha
right.
James.
So, Asha James, congratulations. You have just won the first book. We have 4 other books to give away. Okay, remember the process, remember the ground rules. That first, the item has to appear in the chat. Then Omar will bring up the item, and then you start putting your answers. Again, if you spell it incorrectly, you do not win the book. And Asha, I am assuming you registered with us. Again, that's another point I needed to make. If you registered with us, then we have your contact information. If you did not register with us and maybe you got somebody else's link, then we might not have your contact information, at which point you will need to send a private message to us giving us your contact information. But once you registered, we already have your contact information. Very good. So the ball has been going. So
are you ready for the item 2?
Let's go on, Joy. Let's bring up item 2. Are you ready, people? Let us.
All right, item 2 is there.
Item 2 is now in the chat, and there it is, item 2. You do the research before beginning the task because B is important.
Wow. It's Seguthani Brian is the winner.
Ah, that's from UE Open Campus. Well done, well done. Well done. So beautiful. So we have a book. Okay, great.
We have comments. Everybody's too fast.
But that's good. It's about this. It's not just knowing the answer, it's the skill of being able to type quickly as well.
Yes.
There you go. Joy, are we ready for 2? We have Asha James, contact information in the chat. Omar, could you take note of that, please?
Hold on. I'm going to type item 3 again.
Item 3 is being typed.
Ready.
And Omar to bring up item 3.
Mm-hmm.
Item 3 says the value of a mistake is the L. What was that L in Roseback?
Let's go.
Is there, Joy? Somebody had it.
Somebody had it, but they won already, yeah?
You kidding me? Okay.
Samala Haynes. Let me just make sure.
Beautiful.
Let me just make sure.
Let's make sure.
Yes. Actually, well, yes. Asha James put it in again, so she cannot win again.
That's right.
But then Zamala is the one.
Well done. We're spreading the love. Well done.
Yes.
Great. Okay. Are you ready? We're moving on. We just have 2 more books to give away. Omar, please take note. Let's do a backup of taking note of the names of the recipients of those books.
Our first.
Zamala, you notice Zamala is congratulating herself.
Yes.
You go, Zamala. I like that.
Congrats, Zamala.
Let's
all right, so we're ready for item 4.
Item 4. So Joy is typing item 4. Omar is bringing up item 4.
Item 4, Omar. There you go. A process is simply a set of A.
Alina Gajada. Alina.
You know this person who got it, Joy? Who got
Alina,
it?
Alina
Alina,
Gajada.
I'm telling you, I know Arlene, one of the kindest people I know. Well done and congratulations, Arlena. Well done. Very good. We're spreading the love. Okay, last one, last one to give. Okay, let's go on to item 5.
Let's go.
To be proactive is to take into consideration.
And of course, we have a winner, Fernanda Henry.
She spelled it right this time. Well done, Fernanda. Fernanda, you would have not left here without a book. I know that. Well done, Fernanda. Well done. Thank you so much, everybody, for participating. Again, the book is available locally and it's available on Amazon. Some people told us they already purchased their copy on Amazon while the session was going on.
Is saying the competition was fierce.
Yes. Oh yes, and isn't that nice? Fierce and exciting. Yes, we love
in any training, in any training with Betty, the competition is fierce. You have to come with all gears loaded. We have to be
there
ready.
You go. Thank you, Joy. Thank you, Joy. Thank you, Joy. And I'm sure other people can attest to this. Okay, people, we are coming to the end. We will, at this point, if there are any pressing questions, you can put it. But what we want to bring on now is we know people came in late and we did a
okay, so wait, hold on. We have somebody contesting.
Okay, somebody.
Angela St. Dennis says it risks and not risk.
It's actually okay. That's right. It's an S. Let's go back.
So we have to go back.
Angela, you like that, Angela? I like that.
All right, so Jace, we have to go all the way back. Hold on.
Let's go back. We're checking. Thank you,
Oh gosh, Angela won. So Michaela was right. The competition.
Angela, and I know Angela is coming from the UK. Angela is coming. Well done, Angela. We appreciate that. Anybody else for contesting? So whom did we take that book from, Joy?
Fernanda. And she's killing herself laughing.
Fernanda, we are so sorry. We are so sorry. But Angela was right. It is never one, especially with
Zamara says, please let Fernanda have my copy.
Oh, wow. Thank you all. Look,
so Asha is saying she already has a book too, and she was willing to give her copy to Fernanda. Fernanda, you
well, no. So wait. Okay, so Fernanda, let's ask another question, Joy. We need to pose another question so that somebody gets Asha's book. So Fernanda is getting
all right.
So Fernanda is getting the book from Zamala.
Zamala, yes.
Asha is also giving away her book, right? So
yes. Well, Asha, you good with that? Because she was, let me just make sure.
Asha talks, yes, she said definitely.
Yes, definitely.
Definitely. Okay.
All right, people have fingers crossed, so people come on, ready.
Okay, that means that question was not typed up, so you have to hear that question.
Listen, hold on. Me. Let me put bonus question. Hold on.
Okay. And one of the things we said about objectives is they must be S. Somebody got it?
All right, Tessa.
Tessa. Well done, Tessa.
Tessa Boland.
Tessa gets Asha's book. Very good. Omar, I hope you're keeping track of all of this. Right? Beautiful. Well done. Okay, Joy, we're coming to the end. We have about 10 more minutes before the end, and what we are going to do, we're saying our goodbyes. However, what we're going to do is show the promotional video, the pre-launch promotional video again, which showed a lot of the first reaction, the initial reactions to the book. We loved those initial reactions, and we want to share that with you. As well as that, we will bring up the slide related to where the book can be purchased in St. Lucia, also where the book is accessed for free. This is about knowledge, and knowledge is about sharing, and I'm about empowerment. So we had to ensure that that book was located at different places in St. Lucia. And for people who are coming in from overseas, you need to ensure that that book is located at different places around your island or your country, right? For use. This is just Yes, this is Roseback has
Mine
become
is Betty. Mine is highlighted. Let me tell you, I've read this probably twice already. The first time I read it in one sitting. I was like, I can't stop. I'm sorry.
actually Joy was the first person to read the complete manuscript. And she was the one who says, Betty, this is a layman's guide to quality management. And you know, I mean, Joy has been, oh God, one of my greatest supporters. And Homer said it. Homer said, for her, it was Betty, 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 Betty. You must hear from Betty. You know, it was Paula Cauldron who says, you just need to hear what she has to say. We're not making the transferring of those skills to our homes, and in the process, we're losing our loved ones, we're losing our customers. We need to start doing that. Okay, so at this point, I want to say thank you so much. Joy, a special thank you. Omar, a special thank you. We want to say thank you to McCorville, who handled the pre-recorded first session. My husband, I love you. Thank you again. To my boys, Omar and Zabias. Zabias is in, by the way, in the book I talk about Omar and Zabias. And Zabias has been letting people into the chat. Zabias, thank you so very much. And our sponsors, that we must say a special thank you to our sponsors. And but
Yes,
most of all, we have to say thank you to you, the attendees. Without you, it would not have been the same. Bye now.